안녕하세요 여러분, 저는 루치아입니다. 오늘은 2020년에 한국어를 배울 수 있는 가장 좋은 방법에 대해 이야기할 거예요. For those of you that didn't quite understand me, don't worry, this video will be in English, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about the best ways to learn Korean in 2020. So for those of you that are really just starting from scratch, totally from the very beginning, you have to learn Hangul first. I'm sorry, I know, I'm gonna be that person, but trust me, it will help you learn so much faster. The best way, I think, to learn how to read Hangul is clearly like an app or something. I know there's a Hangul app and then there's like Memrise. But you can also get a textbook that will teach you from the very beginning. I suggest doing the apps first and then moving to a textbook because all around it's just cheaper and clearly we all want to save money, so that's the best way to go. Once you've progressed from like Memrise, Hangul app, you know the alphabet, then you can learn, some basic vocabulary like 엄마, 아빠, 누나, like that type of stuff. If you are really stuck on like, I want to learn through YouTube, I really don't want to spend any money, like that type of stuff, there's another way for you. I suggest that you do a weekly vocab plunge. So what I did, and I actually have found that we're doing this in my college courses as well, you can like watch your dramas or watch your YouTube in Korean, like a lot of you are really into the K-pop scene and they have like episodes of there's like Run BTS, Weekly Idol, stuff like that. You can take it and then just take a random sentence that, let's say you have no idea what any of those words mean, right? So take that sentence and then pick it apart. So find the verb, find the adjective, find the present or future tense, whatever they're using, and break it down. Like, what does this word mean? What is the tense? What is the honorific? That type of stuff. And eventually you'll be able to figure out a pattern and bunch all of those vocab things together. Now, I don't recommend doing this more than twice a week because all of the information just gets jumbled in your head and it's not really helping you progress. I mean, if you can learn really fast, then go ahead, by all means do it. But I don't want you to get mixed up in your head which words are which. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you can just pick out like a couple of words, maybe let's say like 10, right? So a couple of words from this episode or whatever you're watching, right? And put it down in a vocab list and quiz yourself. On Quizlet or on any quiz making thing, just do that about once a week and then test yourself at the end of the month. And then, hey, a whole bunch of new vocab words that you can add together. One thing that I highly do not recommend is learning through K-pop songs. I've seen so many people do this and there is a wrong way to learn. Because when you're learning through K-pop songs, this is not stuff that people just say to you in real life. People don't talk like that. It's the same with songs in English, songs in Spanish, songs in French. Like, people don't actually talk like how they sing. Yeah, I really don't recommend going through K-pop songs. I know a lot of you really like them and you're like, oh, it helps with pronunciation. And yes, it will help with pronunciation, kind of. I recommend going toward the drama YouTube episode route, not the K-pop route. The reason I don't like learning through YouTube videos is that it's not really like a progressive course. You're just jumping into it and you're learning whatever you want to learn at the moment. The reason that didn't work for me is because I need a structured curriculum to be able to learn it. And maybe not everyone is like that, but if you're more into like gradually learning like me, you're probably gonna need to find something different. In my case, it would be a textbook, and I'll recommend some really great textbooks in a minute. And I know that there are some courses online that you can take, like Talk to Me in Korean, I've heard is a great course, Korean Class 101. But like I've said, it's still a little bit different than a traditional course that you would take at a college or at an education center or something like that. I started off with this textbook. It's called Elementary Korean I'm pretty sure that you can get this at Barnes & Noble. I'm honestly not really sure where I bought this because it was such a long time ago. It does have a lot of information in here. It has up to about 15 lessons in here, which is a lot of information, and I think that this book is honestly worth the money that it was, but this book bored the out of me. And that was really sad, I felt like, because I was really interested in Korean. And I'm sorry to Insan who wrote this, but I wasn't interested, and I didn't have a set schedule of time that I was learning. The second textbook series that I used was 소강 한국어. Honestly, I really liked this book. It is kind of jumbled together. There's a lot of pictures in here, so if you're a more visual learner, this is probably the way you should go, because they put it in actual scenarios where you're going to be talking about it. Now, granted, when I had this book, I was taking it in a course with people. Let me talk about that for a brief second. I took some Korean courses at a place called the Korean Education Center in Duluth, Georgia. I don't expect everyone to have a Korean Education Center. That was quite surprising to me that we even had one. I started taking Korean classes with my friend, and it was honestly not expensive. Like, it was like $40 for the entire course. That was pretty amazing, right? So if you can find a Korean education center in your area, I'm gonna highly doubt it, but it was really great, and you can meet people of all ages learning Korean the same as you. Like, there were people in our class that were like 45, and then there were people that were our age who was like 17 at the time. The very last book that I'm going to talk about is this book right here, and it's called Integrated Korean. This is a 2020 copy, so this is the newest copy out of everything that I've showed you. The first one was 2014, and the second one, and the second one was 2018, so that really honestly wasn't that long ago. This one is the newest one. The reason that I like these so much, this one is actually the current curriculum that I'm using, and they use this at Georgia State University. It comes straight from the University of Hawaii. If you go to either one of those schools, this is what you're going to be using. I think this book is a lot easier to learn. It maps everything out super easy. And it has like online stuff with it that you can listen to. And this is the third edition of this book right here, Integrating Korean. Honestly, there's not that much of a difference between the third edition and the second edition. I have both. The only difference between this and the other book is that they just explain it a little bit more, and they give you like a more thorough glossary. Like, there's some words that you don't know, it'll say the glossary right there and stuff like that. They're about the same price anyway, I think. So I'll link all of these in the description if you wanted textbooks, but I think that this is the best one. The very last thing I'm going to talk about is the environment to practice. I know a lot of you are learning alone, right? And you've gone on platforms where you want to meet friends, and you've gone on Hello Talk or whatever thing where you can chat with people that know Korean. Honestly, like, those type of apps are pretty much just dating apps, and they're pretty annoying to deal with. If you want to learn Korean and you don't want all the unnecessary drama that comes with it, there are certain YouTube platforms that do have their own groups and stuff. I think Talk to Me in Korean has one. I'll find a couple and put them in the description or like around me just to see if maybe one of these is for you. But I think that face-to-face is much better versus texting. If you're in university, there's probably a linguistics department or a language department that has language tables. Now, this is like a fairly new concept, but I'm in my second year of university, and during my first year, I found that at multiple universities near me, there's this thing called a language table or a talk table that during a certain time or a certain day of the week, people who are focusing on a language can go and talk together. Like, that's all you do. You just talk. Specifically at my university, which is Georgia State University, they have this thing where there's like 4 tables and there's like a subject on each table, and you just talk to that person about that subject for about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and then you'll rotate and you'll just get a chance to practice your Korean. It really doesn't matter how skilled you are in that language yet. You're just here to practice. You're just here to make yourself better. Nobody's gonna judge you. So if your college doesn't have Korean, I recommend going the group route. Maybe find some people to Skype with, or maybe make some friends. I know making friends is so hard, especially in the Korean world. If you're not really into like the K-pop stuff anymore, it's kind of hard to find friends, and I totally get that. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comment them down below. I will be uploading videos hopefully like on a regular basis. My creativity is kind of in a dump right now. So if any of you had followed my channel before, it's a little bit different now. It's gonna be a little different, but I hope that you're gonna stay with me on my journey. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone.